In some areas of California, the Bay Area, you can make over $100,000 and still qualify for low-income housing. Pure insanity. Let's get into it. Here we go. Some Californians making six figures now qualify for low-income housing, as report reveals 41% of households there are cost burdened. They are burdened by cost. What about the unburdened by what has been? That hasn't happened. They are cost burdened by what has been, making it the highest rate in the United States. Here in Washington State, we're not far behind. West Coast, best coast. Oh yeah. If you're, talking about price appreciation and lack of affordable housing, you betcha. Absolutely. We got you covered. Shrink that supply of housing, make everything super expensive. Don't make it easy to build homes. Magic recipe for to the moon with pricing, and people can't afford it. And then when you do ridiculous things like put a rent cap in place, and Washington State's done, you're basically telegraphing to all the big builders, we don't want you here. We don't want you here building apartment housing. And that's what you need to make this a little bit more affordable. That ain't happening. Just not happening. All this call for affordable housing, that's just nonsense. It's not happening.
New information from the state shows in Marin, San Mateo, San Francisco, and Santa Clara counties, a single person can be making over six figures and still be classified as low income.
Wow.
Nowhere is that more pronounced than in Santa Clara County, where people making under $111,700.
So you're grossing $10K a month right here, Santa Clara County. You're grossing $10K a month. You're a single person, and you still qualify for low-income housing. Would you like Section 8 today? Making good money. Well, I thought I was. Absolutely nutty. But it's because housing has become so expensive. Those rents are just leadership, right? Leadership.
$100 a year are now defined as low income.
If you make $111,000 a year, it's you'll still have a hard time getting a spot here.
The number might be eye-popping to people outside the state, but some San Jose residents we spoke to say it's not that surprising when looking at local housing prices.
Like, people are starting to have to live outside, live into different areas like Hollister and Los Banos just to be able to make it even. And, buying a house is next to impossible. A college student, I'm working and I can barely even afford to live here.
Kayla Guerrero was in the South Bay visiting family today, but moved away due to the high cost of living.
I made the decision to leave to a different county, to Placer County. And
See, I respect that. I respect people who are like, I can't afford this. Where can I afford? And I'm in that same boat. I can afford to live here because I bought a house forever ago. But when I retire, all these expenses are just going to take a massive cut out of fixed income, right? So you have to be able to say, I can't afford to live where I grew up. I got to go somewhere. Where do I go? Yeah, that's the responsible thing to do instead of, I can't afford it. Therefore, me and the dog, we're just going to get a tent and live wherever the F we want and do drugs all day. She's not doing that.
it's been a great experience. However, I'm away from family and friends and just everything that I knew as I was growing up.
It has gotten to the point where we're all affected, and we all know someone who could benefit from housing being more affordable.
Silicon.
Everybody can benefit from housing being more affordable. Ain't gonna happen. It's not happening. You are not increasing the supply anytime soon. Demand is still there. Right now, it's weak demand because you got interest rates close to 7. A lot of sellers are stuck at 3. They're on 3% mortgages, and they're like, I don't want to get off these, and I don't blame them.
Valley at Home advocates for more affordable housing in the region. They say for every affordable housing unit that goes on the market, the owners see at least 10 applications. The executive director says these new income numbers are proof more affordable homes need to be built now.
What that number really means is that, yes, the wealth is being generated, and there's still a lot of work to do to make sure that
there's a lot of work to do. That's what all of these folks continually say. Instead of actually doing the work, they point at there's a lot of work to do. They're throwing out hope that there's some work that can be done to make affordable housing a reality. why aren't they just honest and say, hey, if you're not making 200K, you might as well get the F out because you're not going to make it here. So 200K is your threshold now. So if you don't want to be homeless, 200K, and you might be able to live here for a while. But at the rate things are going, you might want to have a backup plan as well.
That there's enough homes so that everyone can afford to live here.
She says the state's regional housing needs
Not happening.
That mandate cities build more housing has helped. The Santa Clara County Housing Authority told us while some households at the low-income level may qualify for state or local programs, they typically do not meet the eligibility criteria for our federal housing programs, which are targeted to very low-income households and below, showing yet again just how hard it is to make it in the Bay.
Even with 2 incomes, it's still hard. 2 incomes, a couple kids, a couple car payments, and it just all drains away. And rent keeps going up.
Here we got another one. Report finds that 1/3 of California households are struggling to make ends meet. I mean, this isn't just California. This is a lot
working families
of states.
among the groups struggling to afford the basic needs.
Food banks are seeing demand increase while seeing support dwindle. New here at 6, Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez takes a look at the latest real cost measure study.
If you really want to know how the economy's doing, check your local food bank. At Feeding America, food insecurity is on the rise.
The biggest challenge that we've seen is less support, less donations coming in, and less attention and awareness on what's actually occurring. So the need is high as ever.
The latest real cost measure from the United Ways of California lays out just how widespread the struggle is. 35% of California households, or more than 3.8 million, can't cover basic needs. This isn't just about the poverty line. The study looks at working households across all 58 counties, factoring in the real cost of housing, childcare, transportation, healthcare, and taxes.
If families get hit with anything, their car breaks down or a medical emergency,
They're hosed.
or rent increases,
Hosed.
it really can tip them into homelessness.
For example, this map shows the number of households by county struggling to meet their basic needs, while this one shows how much income a typical family of 4 needs to stay afloat. But in Yvonne Sonato Vegas's case,
Let's go back to that for a second. $128,000 in the OC just to stay afloat. More than 10 grand a month just to stay afloat. 99 a little further east in Riverside, San Bernardino. And this is bare minimum. Bare minimum. These are all 100 grand or over. It's just insane. Are we just getting old? Am I just getting old? Where I'm like, that house is $1.6 million. There's literally a house just up the street from me. And I'm like, it's a split entry. It's had some remodeling. I mean, it's ugly, but it's like 1.6 million. What is wrong with this picture? This makes no sense whatsoever, but it is what it is. So maybe it's you just get old and you're like, that car over there should be $400 because in 1965, I got a new one for, I don't know. I'm just throwing out nonsense.
the report uses the most recent data from October of 2023, before inflation and interest rates began hitting even harder, not to mention tariffs.
Things are going to get worse for working families. The sources of public assistance are going to shrink.
United Ways is pushing lawmakers to act, calling for policies like affordable housing and child tax credits to help keep working families from slipping through the cracks.
So for me, one of the big telltale signs was, we've already got an affordability issue, right? Don't have enough housing, haven't built enough housing units as a nation since the Great Recession. And even back then, we were slipping. Now, there's more inventory on the market right now than there has been in a long time, but prices are so high and interest rates on mortgage loans are relatively to where we were just a few years ago so high. Sellers aren't moving off. Buyers aren't interested in buying. And I don't blame them. It is so expensive. Do you want to commit the next 30 years of your life to going 20% down on 1.6 for just, your average? You can't say family anymore. How about home that fits? a birthing person and the person who makes the birthing person pregnant and possibly some offspring. Any sex you want. How about that? A family home. That's what we're trying to say here. But you can't say that anymore because that would be non-inclusive and that would be, not a nice thing to do. But a home that, a bunch of people can live, not a bunch, like 4 comfortably, maybe 5, have that third kid, right? It's so expensive in these big cities to be able to do that. So, and then with inflation, so you had housing costs go through the roof, and then you just had inflation, the cost of everything else underneath the moon just go up. And it's come down a little bit, but inflation rates have definitely come down, but the cost of everything around us has not gone down. California's in the midst of a housing affordability crisis. Now the whole nation is. And whether you're renting or buying, the salaries that people once strived for are often no longer enough. And we saw 111,000 Santa Clara County, 109,000 San Francisco, not Santa Clara, just the city of Santa Clara, 110,000 in San Francisco, in San Mateo counties. People point to California as being really expensive, and it is. But you got a bunch of other Oregon is hideously expensive. Washington State, hideously expensive. And it's because we've constricted the supply of housing. We're not building in large scale, and we've made it so hard to develop real estate. And everybody screams about, we just had some more affordable housing. Well, that's not coming. And anything you do moving forward is barely going to play catch up. It's not going to improve the scenario. It's not going to improve the situation. So where you have extremely expensive cost of living and extremely expensive housing, those prices aren't going to come down because you've still got more demand than supply. And people want to live in those areas. People want to live in San Fran, right? They want to be able to get out their poop meter map and identify where they see a pile of poop. Why else would you want to live in San Fran? Now, there's a lot of reasons to live in San Francisco. There's a lot of reasons to live in Seattle. And I know a lot of you are going to say, no, there's not. They're terrible. It's awful. It's hideous. It's terrible. Some parts of it are. Absolutely. You betcha. And I look at those and we tend to focus on those because that's where the most improvement, that's where the most work still remains to be done. In the Bay Area, for instance, the low income threshold for individuals is 111. I love the weather, Carmack told Large, adding that when it comes to finding housing, it's been very challenging to adapt to the higher cost of living. Now our California dream is simply to survive. That applies to many Californians. Survival. Pay those bills. Is that really how you want to live, though? Is that worth the American dream of living in California? To some, that's what they want to do. To me, no. I guess as you get older, you recognize that you just kind of want to do your own thing. And if that means not working in your 60s, 70s, maybe 80s, if you live that long, 90s, that's wishful thinking at the rate I'm going, right? At the rate so many of us are going. U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development considers homeowners cost burdened if they spend more than 30% of their monthly income on housing, including utilities. Okay. That 30%, that is a number that is pie in the sky. That is 1950s math. Nobody spends 30% of their income on housing. It's way more. It's just way more. Unless you own your home outright, and then you're probably on fixed income, and you might have taxes that are, starting to get at you. But 30% of your monthly income? Nah, it's more like 45, 50%. And for so many people, it's around that, but it's for rent. It's not for a mortgage payment. It's for rent. And that rent will continue to go up. It's not going to go down. So the article goes on to say they're severely cost burdened if that figure tops 50%. And that's how so many people are. Half of their paycheck, half of their gross is going to rent. Because rent has just become absolutely, we're paying what? We're doing what for what? This makes no sense at all. Go down to Oklahoma City. I went through a whole bunch of homes that were at 300,000. Nice developments, but then you got to live in Oklahoma City, 25 minutes north of the airport. It's not terrible. I think it's great. but you don't have the same recreational, you don't have the same job market. It's just different. It is Republican. From that standpoint, yeah, I could see living there. You've got normal people. You don't have a bunch of nut jobs, but you also don't have the wealth. And with that comes a bunch of other stuff, right? California, where homes cost about twice as much as the typical U.S. home, 41% of households were cost burdened. I love that. Cost burdened. You mean they're not flat ass broke? They're cost burdened. We've been burdened with cost. We have a lot of cost on our back. We're just effing around with English, aren't we? The language. The highest proportion in the country, according to California's Legislative Analyst Office. That's not a shocker, is it? So we talk about the buyer objections to Gavin Newsom, Gruesome Newsom, podcaster Newsom, Substack Newsom. He just started a Substack. If you don't know what that is, that's okay. That's all right. You don't need to know. Newsom has a podcast, and it's called, what's it called again? It's Gavin Newsom or something like that. It's like, okay. Annual income needed to qualify for a mortgage in a mid-tier California home in March of 2025 was about $234,000. That is just to qualify for a mortgage. And you'd probably need, 20% down payment? More than double the state's 2023 median household income of $96,500. So basically, nobody's able to afford a home. So they're all forced to rent. And rent, you're not building enough supply of rental housing. You're actually doing the opposite. You're putting a bunch of stuff in place that basically constricts the supply of rental housing because you hate landlords. You hate people with generational wealth because you want to have open borders and a bunch of other nonsensical stuff that don't work. But hey, cheap rental housing? Oh no, we don't believe in that. We need to hug some trees and get all the environmental stuff in there and just push that cost right to the moon. If you're looking for a starter home, you'll need to earn somewhere around $142,000. And if you're eyeing a 2-bedroom place, your monthly payments could easily be nearly double what you'd pay in rent. While the situation in California is severe, affordability is an issue across the country. I often think, what is the younger generation going to do? What's the kids who are 22, 23, 24, and they're thinking about maybe settling down? Although they're a decade off, aren't they? They're going to be early 30s before they settle down. And then they think about having kids, and then they think about having their own place. Is entry-level housing going to be $2 million by another 10 years? It doesn't seem like it can go that direction because at some point in time, they're going to have all of these folks who flat can't afford the market at all. Your entry-level buyers get taken out, and that means you don't have the fuel to feed that move-up buyer from the entry-level home to the next step up. And then you just keep going. I mean, that's what in real estate, that's what we hope happens because we take a rip on each one of those sales. Just, being honest. 2023, 41.8 million people, or 32.8% of all households, were cost burdened. Why can't we just call it broke? They're broke. They got no money. Their money's going out for what lifestyle they have, which is housing, probably some utilities, the car. How about childcare? Childcare just being outrageously expensive. What nannies get paid? Well, taking care of somebody else's kids, not ideal. That includes just over half of renters, 51.8, and nearly a quarter of homeowners, 23.3. And then this article goes into a sponsored ad. Invest in real estate without the headache of being a landlord. The article, MoneyWise, tells us that nobody can afford a home, but hey, let's invest in real estate. Here's an ad that'll show you exactly what to do. We want to pitch to you a plan that is going to make you wealthy. It's going to make your children's children wealthy, and we'd like you to buy into it. No, in the back of my head, I always have, when I'm seeing all these prices and I'm seeing what Summit Properties Northwest is selling, we sell a ton of new construction in the Seattle core. These little cereal box homes, right? 1,200 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe 1,400 square feet is a townhome, multi-level. If you're in your 50s, do not buy one of these because you will not be able to make it up and down the stairs in another decade. Because, I mean, these are just one level after another, 4 or 5 levels of stairs. Absolute nightmare. They're meant for the young folks. Hey, why don't you get a workout in and go up to the top floor? I often think at the price levels that we're experiencing now, there's got to be a correction. There's got to be a correction at some point, and yet we don't see it. We've been talking about a massive correction here in the Seattle area for years and years and years. Never happened. You've got all this industry that's come in, and all these tech bros have money. They have money. A couple $100,000 of the tech bros is nothing. That's your signing bonus back in the day. That's your chump change, right? That's your chump change. But that kind of goes to show, who's fueling these markets. It is not normal everyday people. It's not, folks working at Home Depot. It's not people working a normal job in the healthcare industry. It's not people in telecom. It's not, it's tech bros. It's the developers. When I do this, it means a keyboard warrior. Those are the guys that, have in the past made a ton of money. And on a contract salary type situation. And, where am I going with this? I worry about the housing market moving forward because your pricing has gotten so high that it's stalled out with interest rates at the rate they're at. Now, you can only do so much to the interest rates as we're trying to crush inflation, right? Inflation 1.4 as Trump, gave office over to Biden. Biden drove it up to 9%. God, did I do that? Yeah, you did, Sleepy Joe. That was all you. Well done. That Inflation Reduction Act? Yeah, Inflation Production Act is what it should have been. But with mortgage rates, and they're still historically low. 7% mortgage is historically a very low rate. We just got so used to having, really, really cheap money. And we're not going back to that anytime soon, I don't think. We will have pricing come down, mortgage rate pricing come down a little bit, but will it be enough to get people to go, you know what? I think I can afford that. That's my thought. I'm like, you got to be making a bunch of money. And I'm at that point in my life where I don't want to put out the effort anymore to make a bunch of money. It's not worth it to me. I'd rather go do something that I enjoy doing, working towards that goal. That's something I did a while ago. And maybe you're in a different boat. Maybe you're in the same exact boat. I know a lot of you guys out there and gals out there, you're my age demographic, if not older. And you're looking at these housing costs and going, I don't know if I can afford taxes down the road. And that's a real, real issue because taxes are based on your millage rate and your assessed value. So, are assessed values dropping hideously like the commercial real estate market? No. Assessed values, they've still continued to climb. So there's no easy way out on this one. It's like the homelessness issue. You can only shuffle it around so much, and it's still basically that same thing that you're talking about. I'm cost burdened to the tippy top, right up here, cost burdened. All right, that's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to have you subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.